All right, family. Peace. What's good? I'm streaming on a lot of platforms right now. Got IG right here, Facebook right there, YouTube up there. December 21st. All right. A lot of talk about December 21st. I remember in the fall of 2012 when we used to do Aboriginal radio on Blog Talk Radio, mentioning the significance of the winter solstice of 2020 8 years ago. Anybody who followed me on Blog Talk Radio, Aboriginal Radio, you can actually go back to that episode on the winter solstice and the Mayan calendar and hear me talk about the Tune calendar, or what's called the Mayan calendar, and the Zolkin aspect. And I talked about the winter solstice of 2020 being the end of the real mathematical end of a cycle in the Mayan calendar. If you was around back then, you knew I was talking about the Solstice Science back then and even way before then. I also wrote a book. It's this book right here. It's called Star Prophecy. We put it up here because what I want to do is qualify myself to have the conversation. Because oftentimes, you'll get people and they come and start talking about stuff and it gets real interesting and they start talking crazy and they saying you're going to get the fifth dimension download on 12/21 and they start talking crazy, right? Or their version of what they think is going to happen. I want to make this as practical as possible, as clear as possible. I'm going to eat my little water ice while I'm doing this. I see more people coming in. It's like on YouTube, it's like going crazy right now. All right. That's cool. Keep sharing it. Get them in. All right. So, look. I wrote this book. It's the best book I ever wrote. It's 120 pages only. It's only 120 pages. But in this book, I made the most important astronomical discovery of our time. Literally the first one to make it. And they will not give me credit for this. I did a press conference where I invited media 2 years back to back. Matter of fact, that was the weekend of Odun Day in 2012 when I did it. I did one in 2011 too. But what does this book deal with? This book deals with a discovery of a star that I made in 2011. I'm going to put it here so you can actually go online to telescopes. You see that? That's for you, IG. That's for you, Facebook. That's for you, YouTube. So you can use your coordinates. You can go to Google Sky if you're not going to go to a physical observatory. And you can put in the coordinates. 9 hours, 47 minutes, 59 seconds of right ascension. Whoever's at the observatory will know how to do that. If you're online, they'll show you how to do that. And declination is 13, 18 degrees, and 14.7. So we got the right ascension and declination. And what are you going to see when you go there? When you put the telescope on infrared, you're going to see the binary star twin of the sun. It is what you call a black dwarf. So we have a whole nother star in the solar system. Right? I know for a fact that they had signs of it Because what did I do? You know what I did. I went and got all the articles from NASA and JPL when they first started seeing something. This is 1983, when they saw something coming towards our solar system. They didn't know what it was. Planet X was not made up by conspiracy theorists. Planet X was made up by a professor at a university. So you need to know that. So Washington Post article, December 30th, 1983. Right? Now, this has everything to do with the winter solstice that I'm talking about. So they were thinking that, what is this, a galaxy or a massive planet or something coming towards us? We don't know. So they started publishing articles all over. Like, I got all the articles in this book. I got all the official articles. Right? And so the articles are talking about, what is this? Guess what happened in 1983? They stopped talking about it. They stopped talking about it. All conversation stopped. But this is 1983. I had the up on them. Let me show you what the up I had on them. See, this is why you need to listen to the indigenous leaders that you have that came with vital information. It's important for you to do that because it shows respect for your indigenous tradition, which had already talked about this. I didn't know that until I read this. Let me show you what I read. And I was like, oh my God. How in the hell are we not taught this commonly to black people? So I found this letter written by Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Blew my mind. Let me see if I can find this letter. It's in here. And in the letter, on page 26 of the book, in the letter, he is writing to a brother who's incarcerated. And he told them that his teacher, Master Farah Muhammad, told Elijah that one day our moon, which is up there now, will be replaced by a star. Now, what does the moon do? The moon balances our waters on the earth, right? And causes the tide, along with other factors, but it causes the tide so that the oceans are not over flooding the land. Right? So his teacher taught him that the moon will be replaced by this star, and that star also has another planet around it. So not only do we have another star in our local solar system that I can take you to any observatory on the earth that can go into infrared mode and get these coordinates and show you. I can show you anywhere on earth right now. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I communicated that to him. Nothing. You could hear a rat piss on cotton. He said nothing about it. Yet NASA and JPL were writing about it crazy in the 80s. Then they stopped talking about it. The letter from Elijah Muhammad was written in 1969. He said his teacher told him that this star was going to come here. Now, where did they get the information from? Where did they get the information from? I see somebody on here saying the moon has nothing to do with the waves. Nothing to do with the waves on the earth. Nothing to do with the tidal waves. Now, I'm not going to create arguments in the comments section. There are 5 main factors that contribute to that. The moon is one of them. All right? I'm using the moon because I'm talking about the moon. But anybody with some basic sense, when the moon is at apogee or perigee, or when you got a full moon versus a new moon, you can actually measure the changes in the tide, bro. Just by using that without going into science. And I know based on what you said, you're not a scientist anyway, so I'm going to leave you in the comments. But back to what we're talking about. This discovery of this star You can see a picture of it on the back of the book, right? You can see a color picture of it. It's a black dwarf. And so my point is this. We were taught by Elijah Muhammad in the 60s about this. NASA came in 1983, was trying to figure out what it was, and then stopped talking about it. I wrote a book about it in 2011. It has everything to do with all of the stuff that y'all talk about, but y'all don't have the details. You need to get the book, ebook, whatever, to read it, because it's the greatest discovery, astronomical discovery of our time. And it happened to be one of your own, me, who used the teachings, was looking for it, and saw it. That's all I'm saying on that point. All right. So with that being said, I'm qualifying myself to talk about the solstice, because for the last 15 years, we have been doing ceremonies around the solstice. In another indigenous book, this book talks about Laylat el-Qadr. Laylat el-Qadr is called the Night of Power. They don't know, Arabs, these people don't know, even the Africans, they don't know nothing about what this is talking about, because they didn't author the book. When you get to understanding who authored the book, then it throws us into a complex area. But the point being made is Laylat el-Qadr, the Night of Power, is mentioned in here, and it is the winter solstice. As a matter of fact, when you go and study indigenous civilizations all across the earth, you will find that indigenous people all across the earth celebrated the winter solstice. Why? No matter what latitude they were at, many civilizations celebrated the winter solstice. All of your Christmas myths, everything comes from surrounding the winter solstice. All right, we wrote this book, Immaculate Conception. For all of you people who are to Christianity, the concept of Immaculate Conception existed before your biblical Jesus. It was put in stone at places on this earth where you can go and get the discussion on an Immaculate Conception, conceiving a divine child. What the ingredients of that are, everything. So my point is, indigenous histories globally, especially your ancestors, talked about this particular thing. So what's going to happen on December 21st? Is everybody going to get zapped into the fifth dimension? Hell no. You're not about to get zapped into the fifth dimension. You're not about to get a download into your DNA of something that's not about to happen. None of that is about to happen. So let me tell you what could possibly happen, right? And why the date is significant. The date is significant because the Earth, the Sun, and the central black hole that we are circumambulating around, the Sun is circumambulating every 25,000 years around this black hole. It's called the Sagittarius A portal. It has 16 stars around that area. And for those of you who study divination, you know the significance of the number 16. It comes from astronomy. It doesn't come from anywhere else. And most of what we deal with comes from astronomy. So on that date, you have that alignment. And when we're dealing with electricity and magnetism, electromagnetism, which you're calling gravity and all kind of other stuff, when you have planetary bodies that align like that, they have meaning, because we live in a magnetic field. We literally live in a magnetic field of an object that we live on that is interacting with other objects. So on these particular dates, especially the solstices, they were sacred to our people because they represented something special. And it had everything to do with one word: manifestation. 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 Manifestation is the most important thing you could do in life, because we are all creating our life with decisions, events. We have goals. We want things to happen. We want to get married. We want to have children. We want to make money. We want to make inventions. We want to run our business. Manifestation is the word surrounding the solstice. And in order to get the best manifestations, you want to work on your nutrition and you want to work on the science of manifestation. That's it. That's what the solstice is about. So this solstice is unique because you have a conjunction of the two largest planets, Jupiter and Saturn. And although I am not into astrology at all, I am into the system that astrology came from. It's an older system. Astrology is inaccurate. It is not accurate. But the older indigenous systems that they come from are accurate. So what we have done is studied those systems and then experimented with them over a long period of time so that we can come up with accurate findings. And so December 25th is what we call the day of manifestation. On that day, you either need to be by yourself or with your loved ones so that you can be around the people and the energies that are important to you, because they will have an impact on your next year, a major impact. And leading up to the solstice, you want to eat healthy. We do a whole fast or abstaining from food. You want to eat healthy, right? You want to use your meditations and prayers because you're going to visualize the things that you want to manifest. We do that at sunrise. You want to think about the things in the middle of the day that you want to balance, because we're dealing with the sun at noon. And at sunset, you want to think about the things that you want to get rid of in your life, because those are the things that don't serve you anymore. People, circumstances, jobs, whatever it is. It's a habit. So now if you've been doing that for 20 some odd days, really all year, but 20 some odd days, you're fixating your mind about what you want to manifest, what you want to balance, and what you want to get rid of. And at night, at midnight, you had the 4 points. Again, these 4 points during the day are equal to, on a larger scale, the 4 points of the solstice. Summer, winter, fall, and spring. But they're just shrunk down into the day, because this is all based on astronomy. What we're really doing when you really get down to this is in a very practical way, we're dealing with the things that you think are spooky, alchemy, etc. Because if you can take a day to focus at these 4 cardinal points in relationship to the sun, to think about the things that you want to manifest, balance, get rid of, and just sit and clear yourself, and you expand that to the 4 points of a year, and then it goes further and further, what you're actually doing is you're forming a new habit. And your new habit that you're forming is, I can visualize what I want and make it happen. I can visualize what I want to balance in my life and make it happen. I can visualize the things that I want to get rid of and make it happen. And I'm doing it by using the energies of the universe around me. And I'm not talking about spooky energies, ghosts, ancestors. I'm talking about magnetic fields with thought and intent infused into those realities. That's what we're talking about. So December 25th is the night that has the highest magnetic potential because of these alignments. Now, like I said, Jupiter and Saturn are making this great conjunction in the 11th polarity. All right. The 11th polarity is what astrologers misname and call Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is the rebel. It's the spontaneous action, and it's the change agent. And so what you're about to see over this time, as this conjunction came, right before it, you see in the energies, and come, is rebellion. Rebellion against things that are not serving us. Rebellion against government. Rebellion against the normal way. Doing things a new way is what is going to manifest. Good or bad. The new way of doing vaccines is, we're not going to put the virus in it. We're going to put an RNA computer inside of the virus, inside of the vaccine, so we can do vaccines differently, which is going to change the way your body operates. But if you participate in that, that's going to be a change agent that goes against you. You could do or participate in change agents that go for you. Right? And that's what time it actually is. Now let me get to this 5th dimension stuff so I can really get you to understand The worst thing that you can encounter is misinformation when you're rebelling against old information that's outdated and inaccurate. You're rebelling against the right thing, but you're jumping into a cesspool of information that's going to take you all the way back to where the preachers and ministers and all these other people had you. So tread carefully. Because if you ask somebody about the fifth dimension download, what are they going to say to you? They can't even tell you what a dimension is. What is a dimension? What is? We live in 3 dimensions because we can measure. And what science and mathematics does for you is it gives you the ability to measure. Right? Height, length, and width. Now we got 3 dimensions. It's space. I can put my arms and move them around in 3 dimensions of space. All right? So particles can exist in space with height, depth, and width. That's how we know something exists. And space becomes the parameter for that to exist. So we got our 3 dimensions down. Our 4th and our 5th dimension deal with the movements of the earth, its rotation and its revolution around the sun. The 6th dimension, I'm going to break this down to you that ancient people knew this. The 6th dimension was the movement of the sun around the central vortex. And the 7th dimension, this is why 7 was such a holy number. The 7th dimension deal with the black hole that we go around, or we're calling a black hole. We shouldn't call it a hole because it's not a hole. But what we're calling a black hole that we go around. Your dimensions deal with astronomy and the universal energies that you can identify. They don't deal with anything spooky. This is why this time of year, you don't know it, but some of your ancestors had knowledge and some of your ancestors didn't have knowledge. Some of your ancestors was coons and some of your ancestors were scientists, mathematicians, alchemists. And who you are is based on what you're doing. Don't tell me we descended from the same thing, because if you descended from it, you have the DNA information to access that information, and then you can go out here in the world and do what your ancestors did. If you work for white people to bring their world into existence, those are your ancestors. Your ancestors are the people who were the coons, the shines, who would not rebel against tyranny, would not stand for themselves to create a world for themselves. The people who are creating worlds for themselves, institutions, still being scientists, still being mathematicians, still being whatever greatness that they are, it's because you cannot erase that greatness unless you erase their whole genetic template. So don't tell me we have the same ancestors, because I'm going to look at you, I'm going to say, what are you doing? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you expressing your intelligence? Then I'm going to know. It doesn't mean you can't have a job. You see what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying if you have a job, that means you're a coon. I'm saying if you do not tap into your potential, we don't know who you are. We don't know who you are. So when we look at our ancestors, something as simple as a Christmas tree, right? Let me break something down for you. And I know you never heard it. There's no way you heard this. All right? I mentioned the sun before and the importance of the sun. And the sun has everything to do with the winter solstice because it's how we're charting it, right? If anybody has looked at my COVID-19 lecture, I stress the importance of hormone D, which is called vitamin D, right? Which is a chemical that is synthesized by our interaction with the sun, right? So check this out. Check this out. There's a star at the top of what looks like an evergreen tree with all of these balls on it and gifts at the bottom. In this book, this is called the Sidrat al-Muntaha. Sidrat al-Muntaha. All right? This is considered a holy tree. Now, the tree is symbolic. All right? But the star interacting with the tree, right? That's important. Trees were holy because they are here as a vital part of our understanding life. The tree of good and evil, all these sacred trees, the lote tree. Trees are important, plants are important. But there's one that's really, really, really important. It is the only plant on earth that can produce vitamin D3. And that vitamin D3 is the same molecule that's found in the hue melanin dominated people. Because there's another vitamin D3 that's made by mushrooms, lichen, other mammals, Europeans, and Asians. That's important. Mushrooms, fungus. Lichen, fungus. Other mammals and Europeans and Asians. They have a whole nother vitamin D3. And you can get my book, Indigenous Food Science, where the studies were done already, not by me, by scientists to say, wait a minute, black people have this whole nother hormone, or vitamin D3, that's nothing like Europeans and Asians. Matter of fact, it's found nowhere in the plant world. Only one plant has it. And when that plant interacts with the sun, you can get the vitamin D3 from that plant. And you need vitamin D3. It's vital for your immune system, for your brain receptors, for your protein synthesis, for your bone synthesis. It is the most important nutrient created, and it's the only nutrient, pay attention to this, it's the only nutrient that is solar based. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because whoever made the Christmas tree understood what that is, but it wasn't the Christmas tree. Egyptians had trees with stars and that were decorated way before a damn Christmas tree. The celebration of evergreens and pines was to denote the magic of this particular plant. So my point is this: we're sitting around a lot of symbolism. And all the symbolism is leading us to our indigenous past. All we got to do is be scientifically inclined, peel back the veil, and get the symbol, and then use it. Because the object is get your black ass in the sun so you get some vitamin D3. Get the vitamin D3 from this particular plant, which is the only plant that makes it. Because any other vitamin D3 that you're taking from the store, G&C, Whole Foods, all these other places, it is not chemically the same as what is in your body, because you can only make that from the sun, this plant, and one wild fish that has the D3. D2 is not the same as D3. D2 can be made in kelp, dulse. A lot of sea vegetables have D2, but it's not D3. So it can't even bind to the receptors that you need to bind to do what it needs to do. All right? So December 21st, the download. The download. Understand this. We have dreams, visions. Sometimes the stuff comes true, right? At midnight, around midnight, on December 21st, is the time where you can sit in your quiet meditation, prayer, clear your mind, and ask to receive what information you need that's vital to your life. Then take your ass to sleep and write down the dream that you have. Write it down. Write it down. That's how you use the Earth's magnetic field, astronomical science, to deal with manifestation. And the gifts under the tree, because the tree represents these dimensions that you're talking about. You're talking about dimensions, but you don't know. The tree, with the gifts at it, with the star on top, is giving you all these gifts. These gifts are your nutrition. I'm teaching you about it. They're about your manifestation. They're about your visions and your goals. The gifts under the tree is you manifesting the things that you need to manifest. It's not spooky. You're celebrating Jesus, Christianity, Some of y'all calling, oh, this is Babylon trees. Ain't got nothing to do with none of that. You're using one little book, the Bible, to try to explain everything, and you can't do that because you're going to be limited, right? And so all the people who say, if you know, whatever, I don't have nothing to do with it, you know, as far as trees. I don't have a tree, but I'm teaching you the symbolism of it. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to come in somebody's house because I'm conscious or aware, you know, go to my mom's house or something and they got a tree and start talking about consciousness and, oh yeah, you know, Jeremiah 10 or whatever chapter in the book says that the pagans, like, I'm not about to do that. Right? So we're talking about tomorrow. We're talking about the winter solstice is tomorrow. So it's midnight tomorrow. And so the significance of all of this is manifestation at any level that you can manifest. You're supposed to be taking the month of late November and December to clean and fast your body for this time of the year because it's special. That's all. So spend tomorrow by yourself in quiet meditation or with your family members. Have fun, you know, do something relaxing, get your hot stone massages and whatever you're going to do. But understand that we live in a universe that we made to serve to serve us. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planet, right? They are in service of us. We wake up every morning, we got fresh air, we got fruits, and all this is in our video game, our simulation, made to serve us. So we need to make good use of this stuff, right? We need to make good use of it. And that's it. It didn't take me long to do this. I did this in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So, Christmas, 3 days later when the sun is coming up and all of this manifestation is all symbolic. But the sun is real. It has real biological effect on you. And you can use it to manifest things. Shit, it's the only way you're seeing something. Why wouldn't you use the object that's giving you sight, right, to manifest things into sight reality? All right. For those of you who want the books, you can go to aboriginalmedicalassociation.com. aboriginalmedicalassociation.com. governmentreparations.org. Those are the two sites that we use. If you're on Instagram, you can just go to my link tree. Everything is right there. All right. And so, yeah. Yeah, real talk. That's real talk. So share this video with your family. It's short. It's not long. I didn't want it to be long. I don't want people to have to watch hours of video to get a point across. 15, 20, 30 minutes is good enough to get the point across. Rewind to the beginning. Go over what I said and then begin to use it. For those of you who are doing the December fast, you already know. We already put the information out in books and research and everything so you can get those things. governmentreparations.org. Go to the book section, get the books, ebooks or physical copies. aboriginalmedicalassociation.com. Go get all those health books so you can learn how to do the fasting and other things. And then we have another book that's releasing on January 1st. I was supposed to do a live tonight. I'm going to call the sister to see if we're going to do the live at 9. If not, then we'll probably come back on Tuesday or Wednesday to do the live. We have a book release coming out on January 1st. We've been talking about it. Most important health book in the history of known history. And it shows you how to do everything that I do, that we do at the Aboriginal Medical Association. All right. So I'm done. Thank you for your time today. I don't think we have anything else we got to add on to this. Let's lecture.